All right. Happy Friday. Good to see everyone. I'm really pumped to have a very good friend of mine on the Klear Channel today. And for those of you guys that are logging in live to watch the recording, everything will be downloaded later today, and then I'll pass it over to the SEO team, and they'll be launching on the channel in a few days. But our mission when I started this YouTube channel almost 2 years ago, which is kind of crazy, two and a half years ago, is to help change the world one leader at a time, and it really kind of aligns with my mission and what we do for work. And today is one of the best, if not the best, jumping on the channel. So first of all, good morning, Akil. What's up, buddy?
What it do, baby? How we doing, man?
Good, real good. So Akil, we like to start these calls. I know we're just kind of chat about life and business and some life lessons that you have. But if you could start with a little bit of your background. I know you're a Princeton guy. I know you grew up in the kind of the West. I wouldn't have to consider the West. Would it be considered the West Coast?
No, of course it's the West Coast. Yeah. We're 30 minutes from LA, so or from California, and 3 hours from LA. So yeah.
So tell us about life growing up, and we'll start there, and we'll jump into some things about entrepreneurship. And I know you're the founder of the different organizations. So
yeah.
Just life before you got into college, and tell me about that. Tell me about family.
Yeah. I won't go into a therapy session here, but first off, I always express a lot of gratitude. I'm grateful to have the opportunity to speak. We were just chatting when you were speaking at a leadership development conference this week, and I was like, hey man, what's up with that Klear Channel? It's like, let's get you on, baby. I was like, oh man, I wasn't asking to be on. I was just talking about it. Like I saw you filming for it, so it was good. So. Grateful I have the opportunity. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, man, I think my life was, it really starts with kind of this beacon of my mom. She wasn't a single parent growing up, but she was, my biological father was there, but like made things more challenging. And I saw it growing up, and it wasn't, the best thing for a child to see. And so, it just kind of taught me like how I obviously want to treat my wife and mother of my children or mother of my child. But she always kind of told me these principles of like, Akil, I don't care about where you come from, what you look like. You're going to achieve whatever you want to achieve. And I don't know what that kind of did, but it built this DNA in me that had like this no excuse mentality. And so when it came to academics, athletics, I didn't really care. And if I brought home a grade that was less than a B, she's like, son, I don't care that you got the B. I just want you to know that your best, it is the best. I'm like, Mom, I studied really hard. She's like, that's great. That's cool. But we need to find solutions so that way you can get A's. And it wasn't the fact that she was like, you need to get an A. It was the fact that she was teaching me there's solutions to every problem and that you have to move forward just when, things, slap you in the face, right? So you got to be mindful of that. Life, right? Everything happens. So I think that's really what attracted me to sales, after graduating from college. But I played football, ran track. I did, I swam, I played lacrosse. I did all of it growing up. And, football, track was like my ones that I ended up sticking with. That was like my go-to. I played basketball after my freshman year. I lost too much weight, and I was like, all right, I got to focus on like what I actually need to do. And football was my go-to. To be honest, I thought I was going to USC, Stanford, UCLA, Cal. They came to my school. I was hyped. Big Ten school. Fun fact: I was actually born in Dayton, Ohio, raised in Columbus. And my mom actually went to Ohio State, and I was like, oh, I'm about to go to Ohio State. I know that's not, fun words for the Penn State grad over there.
It's okay. I'll let you get away with it.
But, I thought I was going to this big time school for football, and that wasn't the case. So after my senior year, my first 3 games, they said, hey, Akil, just get back to us. You're going to be good. Just send us your film. I did pretty well my first 3 games, right? I had close to 1,000 yards and, whatever. It doesn't matter now. But the point is that they never got back to me. So I was like, all right, I got to go to a school because the NFL was my goal. So I got back to some of these Ivy League schools, and I was like, I don't even want to go. Where they run around with books on their head? That ain't even real schools. This is not even real football. And all the jokes I get now, but my dad's like, look, or who I call my dad now. I was like, bro, he's like, look, Akil, you need to go to, if you want to go to the NFL, you got to go to school. And I was like, I don't want to go to an Ivy League school. It's not even real football. I was like, well, it's about your education and blah, 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 right? And long and short of it is to wrap it up, one of the best decisions of my life, not because of the school, but because of how I was challenged and how it taught me how to be able to handle adversity. You can't teach 1 + 1 = 2 any different at the community college or an Ivy League school. But the difference is what they expect of you once they teach you the material, right? And I think that really helped me out in entrepreneurship and sales and even life today, right? We were talking about it today. We'll get into it, but yeah, so it's a little bit about my backstory. I want to keep it dialogue, but yeah.
Yeah, I love it. So tell me about mom, right? I think you know that I have the same kind of how I was raised. My mom was that you said the beacon of light. I mean, I couldn't agree more. Like she taught me the discipline. She gave me the mottos of the lazy work twice. She taught me the you can do anything you want. She did a very good job of brainwashing me that I could accomplish anything in my life. So tell me about those lessons that mom taught you.
Yeah, so she her junior year of high school, excuse my language, I won't say it, but she was called a stupid N-word, right, by her teacher, right? The hard ER, all that stuff by her teacher, and it's like, you won't amount to anything, blah blah. Now look, Ken, I'm a football player, right? I go to the gym, frequently, and so a lot of that has built up testosterone. Okay, I don't know how I would respond physically if my teacher told me that, right? Or emotionally, spiritually, whatever. But she took that as fuel, and she has since then she's become uh, a medical doctor. She runs her own practice, one of 3 practices in the world that specializes in anti-aging medicine, as well as a lipid therapy and additional things that are like I still don't even know the terms of. Um, and she's a bodybuilder. She's been bodybuilding. She was training for her 13th show, and she had to do some things with her business and things like that. But yeah, she just won a national show literally last November. So when we're like eating Thanksgiving and like about to eat food, she's like, okay, yeah, I gotta have my chicken, broccoli, and rice, So
And you're
uh,
going for your second serving.
yeah, 100%. I'm like, well, I can't let you beat me, So we do cardio. Sometimes I'll like say like, all right, well, I gotta get my cardio done in the morning too. But it actually got me into bodybuilding. I started it, but I'm gonna do a show this upcoming March. But that being said, I'm grateful for her example of just like this no quit mentality. I mentioned my biological father. He was in prison for about 3 years. He was physically abusive to my mother, and I saw that growing up. And there's stories of me hearing, I'm like, Mom, wait, what? And I remember growing up that there are times where we would literally, she's like, son, grab your toys. I was like, okay, right. And we would stay in a hotel for like a week or something like that. And I didn't know at the time, but she would tell me the stories after as I got home. I'm like, wait, what the heck happened? How did you? But she was like, she just put her head down and kept going, And so he passed away when I was a junior in high school to diabetes and things like that. And I love him to death and things like that because, he was my biological father. But there's a lot of life lessons that I learned from him of what to do and what not to do. But, my mother's she kind of held her ground. And I think growing up, it made more sense to me as I got older. Right. So, yeah.
What an incredible woman. And I've seen, your post about mom and her
Yeah,
business accomplishments and
yeah,
obviously her fitness accomplishments.
yeah,
And I know, like, to be fair, you're no joke in the gym.
yeah. I appreciate it. Yes, sir. Yes,
I,
sir.
I don't know how many times we're at these conferences and I just see you and yeah, I'm like you're the guy that's working out that people knows that works out and goes to the gym. I'm the other guy. You know what I mean? I'm just the other guy that's there. So,
That's
but
good.
yeah, good time.
Yeah.
So you get when do you get into sales? You're come out of Princeton. Tell me that story.
Yeah, so I graduated from Princeton. It was May 20. So I'm 32 now. I was 23, 22, 23, and um, yeah, I was training for the NFL. Like I had a pro day. My buddy, they really were coming to watch my friend and the person that like I ended up getting drafted, but I was there, so I was like,
The
"Hey,
other guy. There you
yeah,
go.
I was the other guy. Yeah, so I was like, "Look at me," And the Eagles, like, they said, "Hey, run some routes." I was like, "Ooh, okay, yeah." Ran some routes, caught the ball really well. And I always tested really well as a player, but I'm a running back, but I did 225 for like 25 times, and yeah, my 40 and my junior pro day was like a 4.41. So like I could like run, like I was like it wasn't like long shot, like but it was like, hey, like okay, I could actually get a chance, and I ended up getting injured 2 weeks before, so I like pulled a groin or I pulled something that I'd never pulled before, but it was like the universe kind of telling me like, hey, Akil, like this football thing you love, it ain't happening, baby. I'm like, no, get away from me. So I was training, and then my mom was like, "Look, I love you, son, but you need to get a real job." And I'm like, "Mom, this is my real job. What are you talking about? Football has been my dream. It's been my birthday wish ever since I was 11 years old." She's like, "Son, I love that. You still need to go interview and find some jobs, right?" And so this is September of 2013, and so training camp had kind of like ended, and my buddy got invited to training camp, and I was like, okay, this is about to be my time, but it didn't happen. So I just was applying, honestly, Ken, just to a bunch of different jobs because they all said I need a ton of experience. I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? I literally just graduated from college. I was a two-sport athlete, and then you want me to, and I did some internships too as well every single summer. So like in my mind, I was like, this is the best resume you'll actually see. Um, and like, my ego loves to say like it's still the best resume I've ever seen ever, right? But the point is I was like, well, I need to get some experience. And Ken, so I interviewed with somebody who, funny enough, he was a captain of his track team. He was black too as well, and went to an Ivy League school, and was in sales. And I was like, okay, what is going on here? What is this? What is? And the person that did my preliminary meeting, he went to Brown and wrestled, and I was like, what? How? How does this even happen? Brown's another Ivy League school. And I started honestly, Ken, just because I liked the guy. That's literally it, right? I asked him, I was like, "Hey, is this residential door-to-door sales? Is this only commission?" He's like, "Yes." I was like, "Oh, okay, all right. What is that?" Right? Like I don't know what is that. And the first day, he's like, "All right, let's go. Let's head on out." And I thought we were going to a boardroom, Ken, where our client at the time was CenturyLink. And I remember I was like, he's like, "All right, we're gonna go get some food. We're gonna go to Chipotle." I'm like, "Okay, cool. I love Chipotle, right?" Got some Chipotle. And then we pulled up to an apartment complex. And I was like, why are we I thought we were going to a boardroom. We're going door to door, right? That means we're going to larger doors, right? Business doors. And I was challenged right away. I was not good. Fun fact, I'm naturally an introvert. I really had to grow myself as a person. And my dad, after my first day, was like, Akil, how was it? I was like, I don't know. People told me no. I wasn't able to tackle them like I was in football. And I had to just eat the rejection and then just keep moving. He's like, okay, you showing up for a second? I'm like, what do you mean? Of course I am. So I'm not good at this yet. I need to get good. And that's kind of how I started into it. And fast forward, I saw myself grow, and I wanted to pass that same opportunity on to other people too as well. So yeah.
I love it. So you learned sales. You weren't good at initially.
No.
What would you, if you had, your younger self,
Yeah.
advice that you would give starting in sales, not just in the industry that you're in, or just anyone in general? What's the advice to a young sales rep?
Don't take the rejection personally. I think we are in a space where likes, social media following, it really is. It hurts, right? And even to this day, like if somebody doesn't work with me, when it comes to entrepreneurship, or if I have the opportunity to train, lead, and develop them, and they don't work with me, I'm like, oh, why? It was you say no to me, right? But I learned that it's not personal. Think it personal. It is what it is. But if you stay grounded in what you're doing, what you believe in, so to young budding entrepreneurs, stay grounded in your values and your purpose, because that's what's going to allow you to keep moving forward. If you're learning sales skills, you have to learn the art of selling yourself to your significant other, to your mom and dad if you're wanting some money, right? If you're wanting to, buy a new home, right, or anything, right? Like the skill of communication can be applied anywhere, right? And I think that sometimes it's undervalued, because I think a lot of people are like, "Ooh, you're going into sales, right?" Like, right. And I'm like, yeah, I love it, because of the person I've grown into. And it's not for everybody, and that's okay. And that's another piece I had to learn. Like, it's okay that not everybody wants to do sales too, as well. So,
It's interesting. I got something in the mail recently from the government. They do this census stuff, right, around businesses. And the questions they asked in this census was, over the next 5 years, is your business, how many jobs will be lost because of AI? How many jobs would be lost based on where the economy is? And it's like all these questions about the future, right? How many jobs would be lost by technology? And this is what the government wants to know, because they're trying to figure out like where business is going. And I remember, and literally this is like a few days ago, and I talked to one of our, Brennan, and he got a similar thing in the mail, and we are like, I mean, should I put one? Like, just because, like, maybe there'll be one,
yeah, yeah,
but there's
yeah.
legit companies that have been around for years that will go away because of artificial intelligence, and because this AI stuff, right? This stuff that's like going to change the world to an extent. But in the industry, in the world of sales, where your people skills and your what you bring to the table, actually matters, and it's not some computer. I think we're going to become more and more valuable. So, but that's awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. Now, so tell me about, we were talking a little bit about leadership habits, and, just to be a little transparent, you mentioned before the call as we're getting on, like, you're like, hey, Ken, I'm just not feeling the best. I'm going to do my best, whatever. But I said, do you mind opening up about that? And if you, because people wake up sometimes, they just don't feel the best, right? It's life. So tell me about your mindset today.
Yeah, I used to. I think early on, I failed at running a business multiple times, and it sucks. It was frustrating. And I think one thing that in 2018 I really started developing was a daily mindset routine. Read this book by Dave Anderson. It's called Unstoppable. It's a really, really good book, and he just talks about how if you wake up with a mindset and an attitude that is built on discipline and habits, you're able to consistently achieve what you want. And I was really tying a lot of my self worth to my results. And I'm not like perfect. Like I still sometimes do that with my sales team, right? Or the performance of my team and all that, right? But it's about being able to course correct it pretty quickly to get back to just your guiding principles. And I was sharing with Kim this morning. I was like, look, man, like I feel like trash this morning. I haven't really felt the best this entire week, but I told him, I was like, look, I did my daily mindset routines, my affirmations, my gratitudes, my game plan for the day, and I get my mind right. He and I are about 3 hours apart, but I just still made sure I just woke up and I didn't rely on my motivation for the day. I just relied on my discipline. So I don't rely every day on like, oh, all right, how do I feel today? Let's be motivated. I rely on the discipline that I have to follow through on the things that I say that I'm going to do, of simply just starting off asking, hey, all right, what were the things that we crushed yesterday? What was my progress from yesterday? All right, awesome. All right, what are you grateful for? What are your I am statements, and how are you going to make today great? So I start with those questions, and I really take time to write them out and really think through it. And then I just have a game plan for today, right? Conversations that I want to have, how I want to execute today, daily tasks. I do a lot of my planning prior to the week, so I just try to just stay in action mode. But, like things come up, or there are times where I lack the motivation. So I'm like, oh, I don't want to look at it. But then, like, I find myself literally looking at my game plan, even like for today. I just have it already outlined out, like what I need to do. And I have things circled that I'm looking at right now that I'm like, okay, I got to get back to that, got to do that. And then also I'm like, okay, what do we need to do to make sure we crush and finish the week, and things like that. So, yeah.
They say motivation will get you started, discipline will keep you there, right? And I think the interesting thing about that is when I think of what you said about your mom earlier, and it's got to come from in here, right? It's got to come from inside. It's so many people rely on, and they also make decisions on what other people are saying, what other people are doing, and whatever, when at the end of the day it's got to be here doing what you want for what you want. And there's going to be, along the way, there's going to be some pain, right? And and it's shifting the, hey, things are not happening to me, they're happening for me. Like, what's this meant to teach me? Is vital. So tell me about entrepreneurship. So you've been running a company for a bit. I mean, obviously you had some failures, have had some successes, and tell me about entrepreneurship. Tell me about the hard times. Tell me about the good times. What have you learned about yourself through the whole process?
Feel like recently it's like, tell you about the hard times. All right, I'll tell you about today. You know, no, I think that, you know, people like entrepreneurship because of the autonomy that it provides, because you know, you're able to spend time with your loved ones, and it's really on you, right? But you really have to grow yourself first to be a person worth following. And Ken, that was really something that was really, really challenging at first, because when I first got into a role where people were like, my name was at the bottom of the check, it was like, all right, I'm the boss now, and now it's on me. And I kind of even get chills, even just, I'm kind of even learning through it, just thinking about through the process again. I'm like, it's never about you. It's about, hey, what value you can add and bring to other people. And that's really what it is. But when you're younger, or younger in your career, that's really, you want to make it about yourself. And I think that I see a lot of successful entrepreneurs, people like yourself, right? Um, and people like myself, who I continue to aim to be every single day and just keep working at it. It's that, hey, what value am I adding to the people around me? Hey, how am I just making these people better? Um, and sometimes it's making them better by you being the best version of yourself. Sometimes it's you being better by being a great example of leadership, right? And um, I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned about entrepreneurship, is that it's it's challenging because it's not about you, but you have to make it so but it's like, well, I'm doing it for my family. I'm doing it for the things that I want to accomplish. Well, how is it not about me? Well, you have to learn that your success is a byproduct of the amount of people that you can help and that you can add value to. And that's your customers, that's your clients, and that's the people that you have the opportunity to lead and develop. And I think once I learned that, staying in that is a really key element. And that's my personal journey. And I think that that's what a lot of people sometimes mistake, entrepreneurship and running a business for. So, yeah.
And I'll tell you, I've seen you just in the last 2 or 3 years really start doing that, right? You started an organization. Initially, it was named Black Entrepreneurs Stronger Together, right? The best group, but now it's Black Entrepreneurs Group. So tell me about what was the thought behind, and I already know, but share with everyone why did you start that? You're one of the founders, I believe, of the organization, right? So
Yeah, we George Floyd was murdered in 2020, and there's a lot of emotions that came up, right? And like, look, I'm a black male that like is self-aware, went to an Ivy League school, right? So college athlete has the mentality like get it done, shut up, don't, right? Done the reading, I've done the internal work, right? I mean, this was literally 2019 was one of my best years in business, and I was like feeling good, I was fine, but Ken, I had these emotions that literally came over me that like I had never experienced. If I saw somebody that, I mean, frankly, if they were white and I literally, they weren't wearing a Black Lives Matter shirt or didn't post something Black Lives Matter, I was pissed. I was like, you don't care. And that was like, that was never me, right? Who I call my dad now, he's white, you know what I'm saying? So like, I was like, mad at him just for how, but I was like, wait, why am I mad at him? I never felt that. And then so I said, whoa, hold on a second, Keel. If you're experiencing these emotions, how is the person that's just graduating college that doesn't have anybody to go to feeling? The young black woman, the young black male that's like pissed off, frustrated, and is like, doesn't know where to go. Because I didn't have anybody to go to, Ken. I didn't have a coach or a mentor that I could look up to and talk to. So that was one, I was like trying to vent. I was like, ain't nobody can relate, right? So I said, okay, as opposed to become a victim in this situation, I think there's an opportunity for me to be a leader. And
I love
I
that.
reached out. Yeah, I reached out to a couple of coaches of mine, expressed my upset, frustration. We then connected with other entrepreneurs, came together, and yeah, it's what formed, best, what came into the Black Entrepreneurs organization. And yeah, it is, it's been one of the like most rewarding things that I have been a part of in my life. Not because it's about being black or Latino or white or anything like that, but it's about providing a space and an opportunity for people that are looking for guidance and looking for an example of a no excuse mentality. I think sometimes people are like, they use their situations and circumstance, and I'm getting a little fired up here, Ken, so you might have to excuse me. But too many people use their circumstances as an excuse as far as why they can't be successful in life. And the organization is designed literally to say, no, your emotions and your how you're feeling, that's valid, but it's not going to determine how successful you can be. And that's why I'm so passionate about it. So that way, the person that's like, oh, well, I'm black and I can't be successful, I'm like, shut up. Yes, you can. But it's with an attitude of understanding. It's with an attitude of like, hey, look, I get you. I understand that. Just like there's a lot of um, people that, there's a lot of women in business, right? That well, they see an example, they're like, oh my gosh, I can do it, right? Or oh my gosh, like I can run for whatever, you know what I'm saying? So, again, um, I that's why I think just example is so important, and that's honestly why like it's really driven me. Like, hey, I got to be on my stuff too, you know.
Yeah, it pushes you to be even better, right? You have a lot of people that look up to you, right? And I know I know you invited me in on some of those early meetings, and as a group, I don't know, we were in some resort. Where were we in, like,
Cancun. We're in Cancun.
yeah, so we had a meeting in Cancun, right? So but I resonate with that, right? As I shared in that meeting, I know growing up in my house, my mom used to talk about discrimination in the workplace all the time, and being Hispanic and being a woman and not speaking the language well. And so that's always struck a chord with me. And in the sales industry, it's we talk in our industry about no seniority and performance based. And when people said that, I thought it was like, okay, I was skeptical a little bit about it. I was like hesitant, and then two or three people passed me up because they did more sales than me, more sales than me, and I'm like, oh, they're pretty serious about promoting people based on performance. That old no seniority thing is pretty cool until you get passed.
Yeah. You're like, oh yeah, that sounds good. Wait, hold on a second. Wait,
Yeah,
what
wait,
is
wait,
this?
wait, wait, wait.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you're like in
Yeah.
the corner going, you mother, you know?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, I know it's coming up on 10:30, and thank you so much for sharing all that. I love it. I think, I was at the most recent meeting you put on for the Black entrepreneurs, and it went from just a small group of people to now, I mean, that meeting had maybe like, I would say 500. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah. About 500. Yeah. Yeah.
people and people from all different backgrounds, right? That want to get
Yeah.
better or want to make an
Yeah.
impact, and I think that's awesome.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
tell me, last words of advice. So what would you share with, again, life lesson with someone that just wants to succeed and get ahead?
Yeah, I think I shared this with the team yesterday, and I kind of live by this guiding principle. It's this quote by Aristotle: "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but it's a habit." And you're gonna have days where you're challenged. You're gonna have days where you feel like it. You're gonna have days where you don't feel like it. But your habits is really what determines how successful you are. And that's one guiding principle. Another one is from this book, Chop Wood, Carry Water. It's a really, really good book. And we've all kind of heard this story about how bamboo, it takes about 5 years to grow. And in that 5 years, right, the first 4 years, you don't see anything. You don't see anything. And on the
It's
fifth
below
year,
ground.
exactly, exactly. And the roots, and what the point of the story is that it's the roots are really growing. And you know, um, can I just live by this guiding principle that if you are destined to go higher, then your foundation has to be deeper and has to be thicker. So for me, I know that success to me isn't like a destination. It's more of like this process and this journey. So I just really make sure that my foundation is really, really strong. My bamboo is shooting up, but I've had I've had roots for a long period of time. So to anybody else out there, focus on your roots. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Your tree is your tree, and you may have a bigger tree than everybody else, or not than the next person. So you have to go deeper, because if it grows at 150 feet, if your roots are too small, you can't actually grow, right? It's going to tip over. But if it's taking you a little bit longer, it's because you're up to bigger and better things. And that's something that I just kind of like. It reminds me every single day. So habits are reminding you that stay in your roots. You're building your foundation.
I love it. I love it. I couldn't agree more. I tell you, you've seen my career, right? And I was building for many years my roots, many, many years. And in the last 2, 3, 4 years, the tree's starting to take off. But yeah, a lot of years of building the roots and a lot of painful years of learning and growing. So, well, Akil, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks for jumping on today. Hang tight real quick, so we got to hang on so this thing
Yes, sir.
downloads and records.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Obviously, jumping on the Klear Channel is just something I'm very grateful you got a chance to do. I got nothing but respect for all the things you're doing and all the examples that you show to everyone in our organization. So thank you so much.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, Ken. Take care, buddy.
Okay. All right. All right, guys. Happy Friday. Please subscribe to the Klear Channel on YouTube. Find us on Instagram, all those other ones, the TikToks of the world. But we'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much.